are moving on to chapter 4 today. Chapter 4 is all about tables and graphs. What you're going to be able to do after today, you're going to be able to identify independent and dependent variables with the science fair. A lot of you know how to classify whether they're independent or dependent. And you're going to be able to create and analyze a graph. That's what you're going to do. It sounds intense. Kids seem to really get into this though. So, variables are relationship between two, and I'm going to be super professional and call it things. That's the easiest way I can say it. Relationship between two things. Alright? Like, if you look at these graphs down here, height and age are variables. They're two things that I'm comparing between each other. Money and bills are variables. They're two things that I'm comparing to each other. All right, and then with variables, you have independent variable or dependent variable. Independent variables are always on the x-axis. In case you need a reminder, this is an x-axis. This is the y-axis. Y is tall. Think of nice capitalized Y. You're nice and tall, standing straight and tall. X is more slanted, it's the horizontal. Dependent variable is on the y-axis. Okay? Independent x-axis, everything relies on the independent one. Okay, so again, this would be independent. And this would be dependent. And they are all variables, things. Variables is the things they're relating. And you're going to draw. You're going to draw some things. What are my variables on this graph? What am I talking about? Jasmine?
Height and age.
Height and age. Now, if I said sketch a rough graph that shows a relationship between height and age, what do you think? Am I increasing or decreasing? Right? I'm increasing. So I start at my age of 0, and I'm not a 0 height. I'm not 0. You're what? About I don't know.
20 inches.
Right. You're somewhere. And then do you think you have a slow increase or a steady increase? It's kind of slow at first, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's steady. Steady is linear, like a line. Do you think you're growing like that? No, definitely not. You are not a linear. Your height is not linear. So you kind of stagnate for a while. You have a little growth spurt, stagnate for a while. All of a sudden you get an intense growth spurt, another one, and then you kind of stay put, right? So draw the rough graph that's related, and you can do it any way you want, as long as what I would be looking for as a teacher, do you understand that you're not a 0 height at age 0? Do you understand that? And do you understand it's an increasing graph? And do you understand that sometimes you go to plateaus? There's times where you're not growing. You're not constantly growing. Okay? Money and bills. What do you think is the independent variable? Which one's the independent variable, money or bills? Bills. Bills are going to come no matter how much money you have. They are the independent. Our money is dependent on the bills that we have and the job that we have too. Okay? So let's say, look at all this money. If I have no bills, look at how much money I have. Woo! I'm having a good time. I got all this money. I'm like, who wants to go shopping? Because I got lots of money and no bills. And life is good. And then notice what happens. As my bills start getting bigger, what happens to my money? It keeps decreasing. And oh no, now I have nothing. I hope you don't want to go shopping now. Eventually, and shit, that happens all the time. Where all of a sudden you're down at nothing. You have no money.
And then your check balances.
Oh gosh, and then things are just horrible. So yeah, some people go into the negative. We're going to assume that we're not overdrafting ourselves. And then what happens? What would happen here? What would cause this big spike?
You paid your bills.
No, paid my bills got me here.
Win the lottery.
Winning the lottery is good.
You get paid.
got paid. I got paid for my job. All of a sudden I got money again. And then it starts decreasing. And hey, I did better this time. I had more than 0. Then I got paid again. And a paid is accurately written like this. Time didn't increase at all. You get paid and it's a big increase right away, right? And then maybe you're just kind of hanging out there for a while. You didn't spend any money. Spent a lot. You went on a shopping spree. So my goal here today is that you can analyze graphs like the I-10 statement. You can analyze graph and just predict what happened. What is causing these turns in a graph? Okay, and everyone's going to have different answers. That's okay. Next one, matching tables and graphs. A lot of times students see tables and they shut down. They're like, I don't know. And you do know, you got to try. Trying is half the battle. Where's this going? Okay. The first thing you got to do if you're matching tables and graphs is look what the heck you're talking about. So this first one, I have ice cream in my container and bowls of the ice cream I ate. Okay, I don't think eaten is a word. That was my bad. Bowls of ice cream I ate. If I have full ice cream, I ate none. If I have half of an ice cream container, I ate about 5 bowls. And if I had an empty container, I ate 10 bowls. So do you think this is an increasing or decreasing graph? It's decreasing, and eventually I'm empty. Which one looks like it could represent that? A or B? B. I started out with full, I got to about half, and then I got to nothing. Okay? So this would be B. Years of education and your annual salary. If you have 13 years of education, that means you're a senior in high school, because you got to count kindergarten. So you went through 13 grades. You're making $24,000 a year, approximately. If you have 17 years getting your BA, you make about 34 starting, sometimes 40, 45. Get your master's or bachelor's, you're making about 63 starting. Okay, starting. Which one looks like, well, first off, is this increasing or decreasing? Increasing. Which one looks like it's increasing? A. Looks like it's increasing. Now I want you to identify variables. Let's go back to this one. Ice cream in container and bowls of ice cream ate. Which one is the independent? Which one makes up their own mind? It doesn't matter. Do you think how much ice cream I have in a container, or do you think how much I ate? Which one's independent? Jasmine? Container is kind of, Josh, pay attention. Container is kind of dependent on how much you ate. How much ice cream is in your container depends on how much ice cream you ate, doesn't it? So the ice cream in container would go right here. It depends on how much ice cream you eat. Ice cream in container. Write that down. And how much you ate, I'm just going to write 8 as the independent variable. Yes, Jeff?
Isn't it supposed to be a number B instead of A?
You're right. This should be 8, ice cream 8, and what's in the container. Okay, the next one. We're identifying our variables, the things we're talking about. Years of education and our salary. What depends on the other? What do you think? Think, pair, share. Talk to your partner. See which one do you think depends on the other. All right, which one is the independent variable? Years of education or my salary?
Years of education.
My education is independent. I can decide if I'm going to school or not. I am independent. I am my own person. Okay? So years of education as an adult. You can't decide that as a kid. Okay, as an adult, you can decide if you are going to continue your education or not. Annual salary, the salary depends on how much school I have. True story. You want to make good money, you better go to school. Right? You don't sit there and the money just comes to you. You need to, a company needs to know that you have good innovative skills to make sure that they pay you what you are worth. Make sense?
I'm worth
Me too. Okay, sketching graphs is the next icon. We're going to draw graphs. The first thing you're going to want to do is determine location of our variables. And then you're going to determine if it's increasing or decreasing, and then draw it. So determine location, what's my independent, what's my dependent, where am I going to put them on my graph? Identify if it's going to increase or if it's going to decrease, and then you draw it. Let's look at this first example. Songs we have as we get older. So what are the two things I'm talking about? Age and songs, songs and age. Those are my variables. So which one is independent? My age or my songs?
Songs.
Age. Because songs depend, I'm not at 1 year old buying all these songs, right? Getting all these songs, I don't even know what they are. Sometimes my parents just sing to me and that's all the songs I need. So the age is independent, right? Age is independent. Your song, be writing this down, the songs depend on your age. So, can I start out at 0 for songs?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really have a playlist or anything, or iTunes or anything like that. So I start out at 0 at age 0. I have nothing. Do you think I increase fast or slow? Slow. And then you get to about 5th or 6th grade, and all of a sudden, what's going on? Yeah, you get a big increase. And it's a pretty steady increase, I would say. Well, I mean, this is everyone's own decision. But I would say it's a pretty steady increase. I know my daughters, it feels like they're buying songs all the time. And then sometimes, do you ever have plateau moments?
Plateau.
That means straight, nothing's happening.
No.
Are you buying songs every day?
Yeah.
Right? Plateau means I'm not buying something, you know, so maybe you just kind of stay there, you increase again. Everyone can have their own type of graph. This is my interpretations of songs as I age. Okay? And then you get to be my age and you're like, I can just listen to my kids' songs, and you're really plateaued. You don't personally buy anything else. Okay? All right. So, creating the graph. I want you right now to try to create the rough graph and label the variables for the next 3 situations. Moving forward, amount I play as I get older. Well, I start at 0, I'm not really playing, right? But then I start. Do you think it's a slow or steady increase? Slow. As a baby, you know, I play for a little bit, and then that's not too much. And then I get to be about 3 or 4 years old, and then I'm playing constantly. So I got this big spike. I'm playing so much. And then I kind of plateau at that for a while. So I increase, kind of stay put, I'm playing all the time. Then what happens as I get older, my playing decreases. And now it changes to a different level. And even if you do use Xbox or video games or hockey, you don't play the way you played at 3 and 4 and 5 because you don't have time anymore. You have no time as at middle school and soon to be high school students. Independent is my age. My age is happening no matter what. Dependent is my playtime. Okay? Time we spend with our parents as we get older. Hey, we're a baby, look at, all the time. All the time, right? We are always with, right, it would. Because I don't say 0. It would start at the top. Because I'm always with them, right? Always with them. And then all of a sudden it's slightly decreased.